Good morning, Fiji, and welcome to the brunch on MaiTV. I'm Stanley Simpson.
And I'm Jacquee Speight. Thank you for tuning in this morning. We hope you're having a great day so far.
Yes, big announcement on Sunday evening with another another rise that got created a lot of alarm.
Yeah.
I was in Levuka and I was alarmed there, and I can imagine the alarm in Suva. That's going to have huge implications on the fragile economy such as ours. And to join us now to discuss that fuel crisis and many other things that's happening in the country. Quite another busy week for...
It is.
But it's going to be like that now, I think, for the rest of the...
2026 is just
2026
off to
sing,
a
like
flying
this
start.
young people say these
And
days.
now we're at the middle of the year.
I know. June.
June.
It's actually June 1st.
Yesterday, it's June 2nd.
Today is June 1st, yeah. Okay, we're joined by Lavenia, Lativerata and Ilaitia Ravuwai of MaiTV, who've been covering some of the big stories. Okay, before we go to the fuel increase, let's start with this court case that's happening right now. I think who's been covering it? I think Lai, you've covered. I saw your byline on that story that we covered today on the. This is the stay application being filed by the Prime Minister, and the appeal that they undergoing. So what's happening there, and how is it turning out in court?
Um, to, un- to understand this, what's happening, we have to look back at the landmark High Court decision stand in February. The judge ruled that the Prime Minister Sitiveni Rambuka had acted unlawfully when he had advised the President to dismiss rather, FICAC Commissioner then, Barbara Malimali. The court said that the only see had legal to regulate corruption chief. Despite that, the government accepted the decision, and now the Prime Minister has decided to appeal the entire, to appeal the case, recently paying about $3,000 deposit to keep the case alive. What happened in court yesterday, Stanley? The Prime Minister's legal team went before Justice Tuingerengere to ask for a stay, which basically means pausing the effects of February's ruling while the PM appeals through the system. The PM's lawyer argued that if the court doesn't pause things, the JSC might want to regularize Malimali's job status, creating an instability and a game of musical chairs if the if the appeal later goes the PM's way rather. Also yesterday we heard in court, Stanley, the drama picked when Miss Malimali's lawyer Tanya Wanganika fiercely opposed the judgment. She dropped a bombshell saying that there were video recordings, audio and transcripts where the meeting of the JSC, the closed door meeting, suggested that the Prime Minister's real reason for this was the President of Fiji felt threatened for being referred to a tribunal. Also, Stanley, what happens next? The Prime Minister's team has announced plans to bring back a King's Council to argue the main appeal. Before that happens, Tuingerengere will announce his decision on whether a pause on the February hearing, which is scheduled for next Monday, stand.
Well, that's a lot to take in. That's quite some maneuvers and the machinery and the way people are working that those legal arguments. Because clearly there's some power play here.
Yes.
And the impacts of the ruling and how it plays out on the president's authority, on the prime minister's authority, and undoing a lot of their appointment and the things that was done through the acting commissioner Lavenia. So it'll be interesting. Tuingerengere was the one, if I'm correct, Lai, is the Tuingerengere is the one that did the ruling that the prime minister's actions was unlawful, and now he's hearing the stay bid that will probably most likely pause or undo what his ruling had done, correct?
That's right. Also, Stan, you'd note that in court yesterday, Valentambo, Simeone Valentambo, the Prime Minister, had said that the earliest date for a Court of Appeal is the likelihood of next year, 2027.
Okay, so this is not going to be resolved before the next election.
Anytime soon, no.
But when Valerie Tambo made that suggestion, was there any pushback from anybody, or was that agreed to? Was that accepted?
Working according to the Court of Appeal's available date, the closest available date. And as you note, that all of these shares has been taken in, the dates have been taken in, the earliest date is 2027.
All right, interesting. We'll watch that court case and we'll try and understand it. If you want to understand more about what's taking place, these articles, great articles written by Ilaitia and La on the court cases to try and understand it more on the MaiTV website and on our Facebook page. Fuel price increase is the big thing also that's happening. La, we've been that announcement on Sunday took a lot of people by surprise. I mean, many were expecting an increase, but that was quite a big increase.
That was a big increase, yes.
It is. It is. Then I think it'd be interesting to see how the price have changed from compared to the same period last year. We sort of did up a graph to show the increase in that and how it's changed. I wonder if our tech people could put that up.
Oh,
So
my
that's just
goodness.
how. So the blue line shows the price that was in 2025 for the same period last year, and the red line is basically what the new price is and how it just shot up. It's rather steep. And
It is rather steep. It is steep. So, I mean, clearly the government, this is out of their control, the price increase. And
it is out of the control.
the only thing in their control is how they can try and manage it.
Yeah.
What options
That's
are
right.
there? I know I've heard people like Narumbe or some of the other ministers talking about reducing or removing the fuel surcharge and some of the taxes. Is that some of the options that's available on the table?
I think that was thrown around during the parliament sitting last week. But we spoke to the Minister for Finance afterwards, and what he said was that if that's to happen, it would mean government losing about 150 million in revenue, and that would affect service provision, everything else that we require, the public for public, and then operations as well for government. And keeping in mind that we have budget that's coming up on June 26th. But I think that's still on the table. So the Parliament government has implemented 20% pay cuts for MPs. They've restricted travel for a lot of these government trips. They've sort of put it off. And then there are also government priorities or government programs that have been rerouted or put on hold to free up funding, so as to as part of the relief measures that government has put in place for Fijians, and one of which things like the absorbing the increase in price bus fares, as well as the electricity surcharge.
It's just something we can't run away from.
No,
We've got to try and
it is,
face
yes.
it head on,
Yeah.
and this is going to change some.
We can't. It
I
just
think
means
some.
managing our
Yeah,
finances.
we have to manage.
That
It's an
is,
adjustment.
yes.
Now, I think we spoke to the Prime Minister this week,
We spoke with the opposition leader.
opposition leader, and this is what he had to say. Jamie, if you got the video.
We have been saying this all along, and we have been consistent as well. First, this is something that is expected, and we are living in extraordinary times. What came out yesterday was a result of what we have been saying all along. But the manner in which it came could have been better, could have been improved. People need to prepare well, and people also need to be advised well in advance, because during these times of uncertainty, that will bring a lot of relief, a lot of satisfaction to the consumers as well. fuel does not only is not only about the movement of vehicles, but it's cross-cutting. It affects the economy, and it affects the way we live in so many ways, because the prices of goods will definitely be affected. Transportation will definitely be affected, and production costs will definitely be affected. Once prices increase, then definitely the implications, the ripple effects will be felt everywhere. And again, the increase that came last night is significant, and people will definitely feel the brunt of that increase.
Okay, good, Karo, but that's some interesting points made. I mean, a lot has been said about announcing on Sunday night.
Yes.
That I mean, but I do wonder, in a way, saying a lot of advance notice. How much advance notice can be given? Because these things are happening out of our control.
Yes.
And I think we need to have Triple City to come in about how they make the determination. What can they forecast? You know, is this going to go higher? I mean, this is already as high as we've ever seen, but will it go higher? Do we have another interview, Jamie, or is that it?
There's another one.
The cut in the fuel tax is because the benefits will be cross-cutting rather than just the targeted sectors or the specific areas in which government has identified. But I'm also aware that it will affect government's revenue. But then government has to weigh their options. If they are losing revenue, then what are other ways and means in which they can save costs? And I've also suggested ways in which government can save costs, because again, I've talked about prioritization, reduction or taking away the fuel tax will mean loss in revenue, but that can be mitigated if other expenditures are also taken into consideration to cushion that loss.
You've also mentioned prior that cabinet reduced its size, its ministers and assistant ministers. Do you think that's wise, sir?
I have been suggesting that all along, and something that government needs to consider seriously. We have taken the pay cuts. It's 2 pays in a row now, and that has been implemented. But there are other ways in which government can reduce its expenses, and the size of cabinet, as I suggested previously, it will depend on government, particularly Prime Minister, size of cabinet itself, and the number of assistant ministers, because this comes with a lot of other costs attached to it. So reducing the size of cabinet and assistant ministers will have some significant impact on the expenses.
Yeah, reducing the size of government will help, but I don't think it makes a huge, it makes a big margin.
And then he says to also remove the duty of fuel.
Yeah, and I agree his point. With that, it affects the whole sectors, not just the bus and those sectors that that come through. We're just in the rock and a hard place kind of situation right now.
Yeah.
Many countries all over the world are struggling to even manage that. So we'll see what government. I think one really important thing though is the government messaging. They need to come out more often and talk to the people. Like hold people's hands and walk them through, because there's a lot of uncertainty right now.
Yeah.
I feel for those who are undergoing projects, who've set budgets, forecast, and then this price coming. I mean, this is totally messed up all budget projections for some of these big projects. I would think so.
A lot of these projects are getting postponed, put on hold.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing it ourselves.
Because it's causing some chaos out there, but we just have to be confident and manage that.
Well, we have to go to a short break now, but when we come back, we'll have members of the Fiji Truth and Reconciliation Commission in studio. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching The Brunch on MaiTV. We hope you're enjoying the show so far.
This morning, we are glad to welcome the chairperson of the Fiji Truth and Reconciliation Commission, Mr. Joaquim, Fonseca, and of course, Commissioner Rachna Nath. Welcome to the Brunch on MaiTV.
Yes,
Thank you.
so
Thank
much
you for having
joining
us.
It's been we should have had this much earlier, but so many things happening, and you've been traveling, and there's been other commissions ongoing as well. We have the Constitution Review Commission, but this has been going on for 18 months.
Yeah.
What's been the experience like?
Well, I think I should let my colleagues start, Commissioner Rachna start, because they are here earlier.
Because you came in
I just came in
a few months ago,
January.
yes.
Yeah, so much has happened. So much has happened. I think a lot of right in the earlier days, it was really setting up the commission and setting up our processes and really learning from other TRCs, because this has never happened in Fiji. So it's what understanding what methodology we should use, how should we engage our people in the communities, what sort of questions, how to actually treat their stories with the care and dignity it requires. So all of that learning, and then to finally be able to do hearings. So a lot of processes needed to be set up to get us to the point where we are today, so that we're able to do this. Yeah.
So Rachna, I see that in the beginning, I saw that you struggled to get attention, to get people to buy in, because there are a lot of questions, I mean, even in the media and from certain people about what really was this about. Then you got going. And I wonder now, the process, whether it's losing momentum or
has it gained momentum?
Or is it gained momentum? What's the feeling like among?
We're asking people to go back 40 years, 20 years, 25 years to talk about trauma, and that's not an easy thing to do. Unlike maybe the other commissions that are doing work in the same space, it's very forward-thinking and futuristic. The commission is as well, in terms of the recommendations. But can you imagine asking people to talk about their trauma and talk about things? So that was the hesitation. But what we've seen, Stanley, is that the moment we're able to build trust and working also with the faith-based organizations, civil society and other groups, then people were able to open up. And the biggest thing we've seen is that people don't know how to articulate their pain. And we don't know the words, because we don't talk about these things. And so just being able to build that trust and to get to that point has taken us time.
Plus, opening up some wounds, I would say, for some people, like revisiting some dark periods. It's not easy. And Mr. Fonseca, you've been involved a bit in that in East Timor.
Yeah,
and before you go into that, I'd like to talk about when you came in.
Yes.
How did you see where the process was and how it was going?
Well, I basically hit the ground running, and a big part of that is to actually trying to understand how the process was, because the commission has been in existence for 1 year, over 1 year before I came. And it was to understand the commission, but also to understand the specific circumstance under which this commission is established. It's in Fiji. It's not in Timor-Leste. It's not elsewhere. It's in Fiji. And so one has to understand that. One has to understand Fiji, the society, the politics. Some of the difficulties are common across different countries where truth commissions have been established. Hesitation, because one thing that events like this break or damage is trust. That is one thing in society everywhere. And that is precisely the currency that is required for the process to be conducted successfully. So you are rebuilding it and using it to get the process running.
What are some of the, when you're saying understanding Fiji, what are some things you see in the Fiji process that you think is unique or different from the other places that you worked in?
Well, it is the social relations in Fiji, how people are related. Yeah, it can make things easy, but it can also make things very difficult, because the relationship is very important within the Fijian society. People do not want to, people have to think many times, even before they come forward to tell their stories, because they are not alone in their stories. They are telling a story which pertains to them, but also involve other people, which exist in a relationship with them. And people have been treating this in very, very cautious, very, very cautiously. And that is one of the things that I think is presenting challenge, but also it is a very, very big resource for commissions like ours.
That is
to
interesting,
succeed.
Jacquee, because I can adapt to that. I can relate to that. Just said, because that's kind of one of the real great explanations of the challenges we face in
the Fijian society.
In the Fijian society,
is being able to speak openly and speak freely, and not wanting to step on anyone's toes at the same time because of that connection.
because every story there is connected to someone in the community who have, and these are complex relationships, like you said, the social relationships that exist. It's a lot of it very close.
Yes, it is.
And to keep things moving, you try not to keep bring these things up and in effect disturb that sort of that state of affairs. You had a question regards to that, Jacquee, with regards to the
yes. So with the
Truth and the Reconciliation.
Truth and Reconciliation Commission, you have a lot of people coming forward to share their truths and speak their truths, right? In a normal setting, say for instance, you've got parents and children, you have friends, co-workers. If someone's wronged someone, they ask for forgiveness, they share why, they're sitting across from each other just like we are, and we discuss it and we talk about it. But with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, we're seeing victims coming forward and sharing their truth. What I'd like to know is, where do they find forgiveness? How does that come about? The reconciliation part of it all. The truth is being shared, but in terms of the perpetrator being there to sit across from them and listen, and in that moment for them to ask them maybe why, you know, do you know that this affected me this way? This has had these effects, you know, on me, my family. Because of this, I can't do this. And the perpetrator is not there. So they're telling you, where does the reconciliation process begin from there for them?
Yeah, that's a good question, Jacquee. To make the spaces safe, we need to ensure that survivors actually feel safe to tell their story. And often, if someone who's caused harm is in the same setting, people aren't able to share their truths. So the very first thing we need to do is ensure people feel safe. It's an inclusive, safe, diverse space where they actually can open up. Because you're asking people to go back in time and to revisit some of the dark parts of their lives. And they can't do that if the person who's harmed them is sitting right there in that moment. That comes later. So the truth-telling part is just for the survivor or a key witness, even somebody who's actually done the harm. For them, it's just that space for you to first confront yourself and then share your truth. After that comes reconciliation. And not every case will go to reconciliation. We've been hearing from people in the community that they're not ready. And so this is a journey. We can't force people to be like, okay, now you must reconcile. Because healing does not require us to forget. And reconciliation also does not require us to erase the past. So for that, we need to understand that in all cases, there may not be reconciliation now, but later down the line. But if people want to, and there are many that I've asked the Commission to facilitate that, we will do that. Where people, both groups of people feel safe. Because we're talking about people's lives here. This is not just some story. This is their lived experience, their reality. They have to live alongside these communities that have caused each other harm. So sometimes they're not ready yet to face the person who's done the harm, even though it's been 40 years. Yeah.
Mr. Fonseca, you know, this is a really great conversation we're having to talk about, because that's what's come through. In East Timor and also in South Africa, they did have people across facing each other. You know, how do you see that work? Is that like you see that as a progression
For the next
for the
phase.
next stage? You know, from your experience, what do you think will work for Fiji's context?
Well, reconciliation is, the names are probably the same across different situations. It's called Truth Commission here, Reconciliation Commission there, and everything. They share similar names, but the method they apply, you cannot just import from one place and use it in another. In the Timorese process, the Commission for Reception, Truth and Reconciliation contacted through, one element is the community reconciliation process. And in some cases, through that process, people did sit across the mat and have a conversation about what happened in the past. But there was no expectation at that time that everything will happen in that way there and then. That is why the report and recommendation of the Commission was important, because that provided reference for people later on to revisit what happened in the past and say, look, I'm ready, I have wronged you, I'm here, I'm ready to talk about it. 20 years down the line, so our Truth Commission handed its report to the Parliament in 2005. Only in 2024, we established in Timor-Leste the working group on community reconciliation.
Okay, so it takes time.
Takes time.
And this
Here, I imagine it is, of course, in some cases it will happen. In a few months' time, there will be, we will see in some communities people come and sit across each other with, you know.
But that hasn't happened yet, eh?
Yeah,
It's been
but-
basically truth telling has been happening.
We anticipate that could happen. But one thing is that.
Sorry, we'll just cut you there for now. We have been told to go to break.
Okay.
And
We're going to go to a short break right now, but we'll continue this discussion when we come back. Welcome back. You're watching the Brunch on MaiTV, and we're talking with the Fiji Truth and Reconciliation Commission Chairperson, Mr. Joaquim de Fonseca, and Commissioner Rachna Nath. So the Commission, many people associate truth and reconciliation processes with the past. That's what we've been talking about from the last segment. How does the work of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission help shape Fiji's future, particularly for the younger generation, who do not have any direct experience with coups and political upheavals?
Yeah. I think some of them would find some of the stories quite alien to them, quite strange for them, because they have not been born in '87, or they were still very young. Now, what the Truth Commission will do, of course, we are not going to, in these 2 years of work, sit everybody across the table and have them talanoa about what happened in the past. That is not possible. But the Commission will record what happened in the past through the hearings, through the submissions, and produce a report and recommendation which can be used by the future generation as a reference. Because the report is going to tell us what went wrong. How did Fiji got to where it was? Yeah. And Fijians together will be able to.
so lessons for the future,
Lessons for the future.
guidelines of how to.
What not to do,
We
you know.
are not
and
producing materials only for museums and archives.
Yeah.
The Commission is going to produce a document which will be used as a reference for Fijians to move forward, to take their country forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just looking back at the past or dwelling in it, because it seems it seems that way many times. You know that oh, this is, and it's to do a lot with the leaders who try to emerge. But you know, you're always defined by what you did in the past. But and how you try and shape yourselves or shape the country to be the future we want it to be. One of the things though that got a lot of sort of got a pushback when the commission was started was that the act specifying that the TRC evidence given there cannot be used in court. So it kind of prioritized social accountability over, some people say justice. Or, so like from your experience, how can you change the perception? How would you change someone's mind who says like, oh, this is just used for people to then give themselves some kind of blanket pardon? No, I've already spoken to the TRC. That's it for me.
Yeah.
You know, I've apologized and nothing more for me to do.
I think it is time for Fijians to come forward and reclaim their connection with their country. I don't think that Fiji belongs to those who live in the past only. I don't think that Fiji belongs to the Commission does not see Fiji as being a property of whoever who was involved in the 87, 2000, 2006 political upheavals. This is an opportunity for every Fijians to come and say, look, our country is like this because of what happened in the past. How do we move it forward? I think there's an invitation there. Of course, this is not a court of law. It is not going to prosecute anybody. But I think social accountability is it's quite a powerful thing as well. The stories are going to be in the record. It's going to, instead of being a fragmented stories of individual narratives, it is going to be a national narrative, a narrative that every Fijian can see and imagine themselves within it. This is our history. This is what happened. That is how we become what we are right now. Those are the history that have brought us to today. Are we happy about Fiji today? Are we unhappy about it? What are we going to do about it? I think this is that is the report that's going. It's more powerful than putting somebody behind.
You say about people should stop living in the past, but like you said yourself, Rachna, that there's some people who say no, we don't want reconciliation right now. We're not ready for reconciliation now. So how do we deal with situations like that?
Well, reconciliation, forgiveness is a very personal thing. It's a very personal thing, and obviously. Most people we imagine it to have come from a verbalized apology, yeah. But in truth, the experiences of different truth commissions, often it has not happened that way. Acknowledgement of what happened in the past is also a very powerful act, a powerful gesture that relieve those who have suffered the consequences of those acts, to feel that their dignity is restored. Because people have been telling their stories to their children, grandchildren, family. Nobody validated. No one has validated those stories. But this report, the report of the Commission is going to validate that. Yeah. Because we have...
And that's an important aspect, eh?
Very important aspect. That actually it happened. It is not a story which someone invented.
It's not oral history anymore, just...
And we wouldn't be able to do that without restorative justice. You can't do that in a court of law. You know, how do you put something like someone's story on trial? How do you, understand intergenerational trauma? So I think one of the beautiful things about restorative justice is that the fact that people will come forward to talk. Had it been through a court of law, you're not able to get people to come forward. And so, those who perhaps talk about the fact that maybe this is not effective, we have to really realize that this has never happened before. And that's not to say that other parts of justice pathways will not happen. Like the Commission can't prosecute anyone, but that's not to say afterwards that it may take another shape or form, and there might be legal pathways. But that's not for us to determine.
If I may come in just shortly there, maybe not so shortly.
If you want to move forward.
Yes. Because in truth commissions which have combined prosecution and truth-telling, most of the time the truth-telling process succeeds, prosecution doesn't succeed. That is why I think Fiji is smart
What
to
is
have
the example of that?
Timor-Leste. is an
Timor-Leste.
yeah.
Because you prosecuted.
We had a special panel to prosecute serious crimes, which is attached to the United Nations mission. When the United Nations in Timor-Leste closed, the special panel is gone. Our court system does not have the capacity to carry over the prosecution processes which were left behind by United Nations process.
Yeah.
And we could not possibly, being a foreign state, have prosecuted actors who live in Indonesia, who are not Timorese.
That's right.
So how can individuals, maybe even families, whole families, people within the community, how are they able to share their experiences or get in touch with the commission to contribute to the work that's being carried out?
So many people have come forward to us directly, but we also go to the communities because they don't have the time. So we have to understand people's time and space. So what we've been doing, and we've reached out to about 45 communities across the country. These are villages, the Kina, and these are also hotspot areas, places that were disproportionately affected, right?
You can identify them.
Yes, that we know that they were. So what happens is because it's targeted, when we go into the community, people are willing to talk. And it takes a few days because you go in, you have to build trust, you have to sit with them, and then they get to a point where they're ready to talk. All of this takes time. And that's with the Itoke villages and in the Indo-Fijian settlements. So we go out to them, that's one way. The other way is the NGOs and faith-based other organizations that are helping us do that. So we need to hear from others as well. So people sharing their actual stories, that's one, but there's also that broader sort of societal impacts around displacement and race relations and, you know, broken trust and all of that, that's also coming from organizations. So either people come to us directly, but we are more willing to also go out and reach
When you've
people.
gone out into the communities, have you found people to be very welcoming and very open to the work that you're doing?
Yes and no. Yes, and that's expected. And that is expected because you're asking people to go back in time,
And open
you
up
know,
things
and
that they
open up.
probably hidden up.
Yeah, and remember, no one has come to them. So this is the first time someone has gone in and said, tell us about your story in 1987. Tell us what happened to your community in 2000. Tell us what, you know, displacement looked like when you lost your home or your home was razed to the ground, you know, in the riots. So when you go and you talk to people, the first thing, why are you coming after this time? You know, and that's natural. That's a natural reaction. But it takes time. Then we build trust until people get to a point where they're willing to talk. And I think that's what makes our work a little more different and difficult than others doing this sort of work on the ground. Because we're asking people to revisit some dark parts of our history and their lives.
I can relate to that because I know we've been asked here in the media, and it's always been like yes and no to. You know, we are also part of that process. That sitting back and watching. So people like us still sitting back and watching, and to those that, what's the message to come forward and trust the process?
Well, thank you very much. Those terrible things in 87, 2006, they happened because people were mobilized. So people in Fiji can be mobilized, and they can be now mobilized to participate in the truth and reconciliation process. Not just the process we are conducting right now, but to one day look at the report and say, let's rebuild our country. This is now the challenge for people like you, media, influencers, political mobilizers, to rally people of Fiji, but not for another coup, but to rebuild Fiji. I think this is the time.
You need to step up and shape the process. This has been really a wonderful conversation.
I wish we had more time.
Wish we had more time, but it's great, and I think we need to engage more.
We do.
And we wish you, continued success in the work that you're doing and
Yep.
getting people to talk, share their stories, and then we're trying to build a better
A better Fiji.
better Fiji
a better
for us
future
here.
for our children.
So thank you for joining us
Thank you for
on the show.
joining us, and honestly look forward to having you on again with us soon. Well, we'll be back right after this short commercial break.
Welcome back. You're watching the Brunch on MaiTV. We hope you've been enjoying the show so far.
Yep, we've had some great discussions on the impact of the rising fuel prices, and we're able to speak to the Fiji Truth and Reconciliation Commission earlier on their work. But now let's get to something that's a little lighter.
Yeah, but
Not too light.
I wanted to go back to that conversation. That was a really great conversation we had with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. I
was.
thought there were some great insights. Mr.
Yes.
Fonseca, really, he has some great experience.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
East Timor,
Very clear to see
they,
that.
they came through a bit too. That war to autonomy from Indonesia, independence from Indonesia, and the atrocities that was committed. So, I mean, he's been through quite a bit. And I can sense that he studied, he's read and he studied the Fiji situation because
he
he felt like, it almost felt like he's been here a while.
It really, you got that feeling too, yeah.
And Rachna, I've known Rachna for a long time, but I think she's really immersed herself in this process.
She has.
She kind of understands
Yes.
the process, the things that's going on in a kind of depth that not many, many of us do. So that's great having a conversation with people, like that who really trying to shape the country's future.
True.
And I think it's a very important process. I had my doubts.
I think we all
I had my
did.
suspicions about the process. But, it's good when we have these conversations and we'll see the insights from some of those that are deeply involved in it. I just don't think, though, that some of the really key players are getting involved strong enough. And like they're saying, people who mobilize for the coups, mobilize them for truth and reconciliation.
When he said that, that's true.
Yeah.
He said it's very clear to see that in Fiji, they can mobilize if they want to, if they really, really wanted to.
The headlines, some people trying to mobilize some more fuel from themselves and they're getting angry. What's in the Fiji Times?
Okay, this part. Fuel pump attendants are being sworn at and harassed by frustrated motor vehicle owners for refusing to fill inappropriate and unsafe storage containers like plastic bottles. Please, leave the attendants alone.
I know, look, there's a lot of desperation and frustration and people trying to...
Yes.
But we've got to keep it together. These are the kind of moments
It's
where
no
we really need to
excuse
keep
to be
it...
unkind. That is not enough of an excuse to be unkind.
Yes, and then in the Fiji Sun, it's, this has been talked out about a lot. I didn't comment much on it, but I saw it got a lot of attention and comment. This inquiry into the plight of the Fijians living under the Sydney overpass. Did you read about that?
I saw something about it online because everyone's been talking about it.
And there's been a back and forth about...
And it's a back and forth.
about whether they, they should go and work and look after themselves or they shouldn't be playing victim or what's happening. So now, Fiji Sun's reporting that Fiji and Australia are launching an investigation about that father of four. And there's been a lot said about that father of four. So, it's good to find the truth about what happened. There is on an inquiry into plight.
Yeah.
And that's... this scheme, I'm trying not to give my personal view here about the whole
You're
thing.
trying?
Trying.
Okay, off the record.
No, even then. Everything's on the record here. But, they go there to better their family. And, these things that don't happen. But, Australia and New Zealand and places go to, you have to work hard.
You do have to work hard, yes.
At the same time, there are some circumstances we may not be aware of that may affect a person's, mindset, mental...
That's true.
Psychology.
So I read a comment, right? I read someone's comment. I just saw it this morning. And they talked about how when Fijians are taken over, they go straight into work, right? And you have members of the community that side trying to advise them about budgeting, number one, which is something that all Fijians struggle with. budgeting, prioritizing, you know, what's important, where the pay should go, how things, and it can be very overwhelming for first-time travelers.
Yeah, especially coming from a rural village.
Coming from a rural village, going there, it's culture shock. There's so much happening. And they find for some very positive and for some very negative.
Yeah. Because, I mean, in the village where many, you know, some of these Fijians are coming from, they can relax for a few days, you know, go back.
Yeah. Go to the garden.
Yeah.
They decide when they want to do
Not in
things.
Australia.
Not in
Once
Australia.
you relax,
yeah.
you may end up at the bypass. That's the
yes,
situation.
that's the reality of it, yes.
We'll take a look now at our shot of the day, where that was sent in by Isaiah Kotombalavu, a stunning hibiscus gently swaying in the midday sun, perfectly capturing the natural beauty and vibrant spirit of Tavua.
Tavua?
That's some
Why do I feel Jamie had something to do with
that's some
this?
poetry.
Yeah, that's
some AI written poetry, I believe.
to our poll question.
But beautiful photo.
Absolutely beautiful, and we'd love to see more of it. So if you have any images, videos, anything from around the country, maybe it's with your family, your friends, send it in. You can do that through brunch at mytvfiji.com.fj, or you can send it through on our MaiTV Facebook page.
Yeah.
And to our poll question.
This week we are asking, is it coming up on the screen? Yeah. How would you rate the effectiveness of the government's latest cost of living relief measures? Fully absorbing the 22.5% bus fare hike and subsidizing the new power surcharge for households earning below 30,000.
I think that was last week's question, right? Or was that this week? Oh, it's still going.
It's still
okay,
going.
so this is the same question that we asked last week. We're asking it again this week, and we want to know. So let us know what you think by participating in our poll question that is pinned at the top of the MaiTV Facebook page, and you could go into the draw to win a slow cooker from Comfort Home Furnishing. You ever used a slow cooker?
No, I love it.
You have?
I have.
Oh, okay. Well, a winner will be announced every week right here on the show starting this Friday. So if you haven't taken part in the poll question, get onto the MaiTV Facebook page. Take part in the poll question.
Yeah, and that's it from us. I hope you've enjoyed the show, and join us again on Friday.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Stay safe, and until Friday, don't drink and drive. Carpool if you need to, and practice safe sex. For the brunch, I'm Jacquee Speight.
And I'm Stanley Simpson. Have a great day.